on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. You would say that with such confidence and gusto.
Well, it's true.
We have a few lovely supporters who recently joined us at patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast. Dylan, they are sponsoring today's show. Will you give them a shout out?
Yes, we would like to thank today's sponsor, Leah and Dreama.
Thanks for joining the gang.
Love the names.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you so much for your sponsorship over at patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast.
Twice in less than a minute. How do we find the time to fit that in?
I know. And you can I'll also be a sponsor if you jump on over there and see what's going on.
We have a lot of new Patreon exclusive episodes available.
Yes, and we're going to start toying with the idea of video.
We've been saying we were going to do some video for a while and just can never seem to find the right angle, I'll be honest.
We did one by the campfire in the dark.
But we do promise to bring more video to the podcast in the future. Dylan, we have a banger of a case today.
That's what you were saying. The whole time you were preparing it, you were like, oh my God, this is going to be a great case.
It's just draped in mystery.
Oh, wow.
And you may leave wondering, like, what was the motive? Why? It's a strange story.
That seems like there's a lot of mystery if you can drape something in it.
It's
right?
just draped in mystery. Dylan.
Yes. Wow, there's like extra mystery.
Extra mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody likes a little extra. Except when it's around your middle and you can't button your pants.
Hey, can I get another helping of that mystery? Right?
The double side.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
All right. Are you ready, Dylan?
I can't wait. I'm intrigued now. I need to know more.
You look super goofy, so let's get
Well,
started.
I mean, that's
Maybe
normal.
If we had video, people could see your big face when we record. I told you I'd be so sweet to you today. And since big head is a term of endearment in our household,
Yes.
see, I just told you have a big, beautiful face.
I'm glad you brought that up. You reminded me that no matter what I say, you said that you would be nice to me.
This episode, this is our wedding anniversary weekend. We finally figured out the date that we were married 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's the
So this is our
27th.
anniversary weekend. I'm going to be so sweet to you this entire episode.
Oh,
I'm going to be so sweet that by the end, you're going to want to throw up.
I'm going to take that as a challenge.
Oh, yeah?
No, I love it.
All right.
I love it.
Let's get started with today's story, Dylan.
Let's go.
Near Washington, D.C., on March 1st of 1976, William Bradford Bishop Jr., who went by Brad, told his secretary at his U.S. State Department office that he wasn't feeling well.
Man, he really knocked down that regal name by just picking Brad.
On this day, he learned he was not going to receive a promotion he had sought. Bishop went to look at a memo listing new promotions that had been posted in a hallway of the State Department's Foggy Bottom office. And according to a coworker, Bishop became upset, saying a position that should have been his had gone to someone else.
So he was visibly upset, I take it. Everyone directly around him knew why he was upset, and it sounds like he feels slighted.
Possibly.
Right? Yeah.
Bishop was an assistant chief in the Special Trade Activities and Commercial Treaties Division, Office of International Trade, Bureau of Economic and Business Affairs. Now that is a mouthful.
I don't know if you could fit that on a business card.
He left the office and headed home to Bethesda, Maryland, in the upscale Carter Rock Springs neighborhood. It was the last time anyone, including his colleagues, friends, and neighbors, would ever see him again.
That's
This is where the story begins. The mystery, Dylan.
so a bit of a usual work day. It's not unusual for someone to be
It's not unusual for someone to be what?
mysterious.
Mysterious. Okay.
No, it's not unusual for someone to, be expecting a promotion, then not get it, and then, let everyone know why they should have got it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure that the rest of his colleagues didn't think it would be the last time they'd see him, right?
Doubtful.
Yeah, there's that one colleague, like, yeah, I knew this is the last time I'll see him.
Bishop lived in a split-level home with his 68-year-old mother, Lobelia, his 3 children, 14-year-old William III, otherwise known as Brad, 10-year-old Brenton, and 5-year-old Jeffrey. Also, his wife, 37-year-old Annette. They had a dog named Leo, by the way. For a week, no one saw Annette running her usual errands, the boys playing outside, or Lobelia walking the dog as usual. Bishop also didn't show up for work the rest of the week, and his coworkers assumed the diplomat was at home recovering from the flu. After a week, a concerned neighbor noticed there was no activity or even lights on inside the Bishop home. And that's when the neighbor called Montgomery County Police. The neighbor woman had tried several times to phone the home with no answer, and no one came to the door when she knocked. Now, she had been given a house key for emergency situations, but wasn't quite sure if she should use the key and go inside.
Now, I know every neighborhood's different, right? How long do you think it would take someone to see if we needed help if this similar circumstance were to arise?
I think it could be weeks.
I think it could be months,
It really could.
right?
Because we don't really associate with neighbors.
No. Huh.
Weird.
I want everyone out there listening to think about that. How long you think it would take for you to either check on your neighbors or for your neighbors to check on you. And maybe we can all do a little soul searching together.
I don't want to talk to my neighbors.
Same.
Officers arrived to perform a welfare check at the home, which was located on Lilystone Drive. The detective saw blood in the driveway, and when he came into the house, now he had the key. He had gotten it from the neighbor, the one who had made the phone call, but he didn't need it. Oddly, the front door was unlocked, so the officer entered into the foyer, calling out for family members. Immediately, he notices traces of blood on the floor and the stairs. So we have blood in the driveway, and now we're seeing it inside the house.
Well, yeah, and that's got to be enough blood to make someone worried. Because, I mean, you wouldn't expect it to see it anywhere, let alone multiple places, right?
A search of the home revealed blood splattered in the bedrooms, on the walls, and carpets. The children's bedrooms were particularly horrific, with blood everywhere.
So this is basically a house of horrors, it sounds like.
Definitely described as a house of horrors. There were blood-soaked linens, mattresses and pillowcases, human bone fragments, tissue, fibers, and hair, but no bodies. It was a gruesome crime scene. Just grisly.
Yeah, that's one of the worst scenes I've heard described in a very long time, honestly.
It sounds like the scene in The Shining where the blood just shoots down the hallway like an ocean or like a floodgate.
Well, when you're seeing noticeable like chunks of hair and who knows, brain matter and bone fragments, blood everywhere, I mean, I don't think I could handle that, honestly.
Very, very disturbing scene. One I'm sure these officers did not soon forget. But there were no bodies, and there was no sign of the family dog during the initial search. The family's Volkswagen Bug and a motorcycle were still at the house. Missing was the family's maroon station wagon. As the investigation began, police discovered that William Bradford Bishop Jr. had left work early on March 1st and had stopped by the American Security Bank to withdraw $400. He had also stopped by the Sears store at the mall, where Bishop purchased a mallet-style hammer and a 2.5-gallon gasoline can with his credit card.
Very normal purchase. Very normal purchase. Hammer and a can of gas.
Bishop had pulled his station wagon into an adjacent mall gas station, a Texaco, where he filled up the cans. He arrived at his home around 7:30 or 8 o'clock that evening. Does this sound strange to you?
Huh?
Does this sound strange to you?
What do you mean?
That this man would stop and buy a hammer and a can of gas?
Oh,
and
yeah.
withdraw some money from the bank?
Well, no, it's very strange. I mean, it's just it's atypical.
You were so confused when I asked that.
No, I thought no, honestly, and you can just leave this in for the listener experience. I thought you had killed it and was asking me like an audio question. I'm sorry. Yeah, just leave that in. That's how we live.
It's okay, honey bunny.
No, no. But in Dylan fashion, my brain is thinking that I have to. We got to fix our room back, right? Yeah, I've moved some things around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the case, Dylan.
Yeah, let's get back into the story because I was really intently listening, honestly.
A week earlier in North Carolina, a forest ranger named Ronald Brickhouse was patrolling a swampland area on March the 2nd when he got a radio call from another ranger. The other ranger reported a brush fire about 6 miles south of Columbia, North Carolina. Brickhouse answered the call for assistance and rushed to help extinguish the fire. About 10 minutes after arriving at the scene, Brickhouse made a horrific discovery. There were 2 bodies in a hole.
Ooh.
Brickhouse acted instantly, securing the area and calling in the sheriff's department. He thought the suspect might still be around in this area, right? When the sheriff arrived, the area was cleared and officers pulled out 5 bodies from a shallow, open grave.
So, I mean, who in the world thinks that this is going to work?
The location was about 40 feet off a logging road and a half-mile from the nearest residence. So this is an incredibly desolate, rural area.
Yeah, nothing nearby, right?
The pit was holding the bodies of 2 adult women and 3 male children. Described as a bathtub-sized grave, it was only about 3 feet deep, 6 feet long, and 4 feet wide. Also found were a gas can, a shovel, a garden fork, which I'm curious, is that like a pitchfork?
I think it's more like something you would dig potatoes up, like kind of like a hoe, but forks instead of a hoe.
The items all appeared to be fairly new. The pitchfork, or the garden fork, as it was described, had a partial store label that read Pox Hardware. There were also tire tracks found at the scene. Tyrrell County, North Carolina, was a rural area with 400 square miles of swamp, forest, and agricultural land, and there were only about 800 residents that lived in this area.
Wow.
Baffled, police began their investigation. First, they found a serial number on the shovel, and they were able to trace it to the hardware store in Potomac, Maryland. The sheriff noted the 3 children were wearing pajamas. The younger adult woman was in jeans and like a denim jacket. They were described as a dungaree pants and dungaree jacket. So I was like, okay, so she's wearing the Canadian tuxedo, the denim on denim action. And the other woman was wearing an overcoat with a fur collar. He surmised these victims were relatives and that they did not live locally. The coroner determined the children ranged from ages 6 to about 15. The younger woman was in her late 30s and the older woman was in her 60s. They had also received blunt force trauma to the head. The older woman's coat, like the garden tools, also had a label showing it was purchased in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, see, the fire seems to have done, which fortunately has done little to mask or cover up even their clothing. I mean, it's still fairly intact. So, sounds to me like
Amateur hour.
amateur hour, yes.
Montgomery County investigators remembered this bulletin that they had received days before stumbling upon the Bishop crime scene. The notice was from North Carolina and stated that the bodies of 5 people had been found in a burn pit, but at the time, the Maryland police had no missing persons reports or anything to determine these victims were from the area. But North Carolina police knew they had a Maryland connection because of the shovel and the woman's coat.
Yeah, but so here we are all the way down in North Carolina, but then you trace tools, and that's a pretty good clue. I mean, who has tools from another area? You know, that's something you typically go locally, the nearest store, and buy, unless you happen to move all your belongings at once, of course. But yeah, I mean, that would be a bit baffling for investigators, right?
At that point, Maryland investigators reached out to North Carolina to join forces and piece together what was becoming a big puzzle. What do you think so far, Dylan? Mysterious?
Yes, very mysterious.
Am I delivering?
Yes, I'm kind of scared.
The coroner was able to identify the bodies of Lobelia, Annette, Brad, Brenton, and Jeffrey. Dental records were used to confirm the bodies in North Carolina were of the Bishop family. William Bradford Bishop Jr. was nowhere to be found. His bloody fingerprints had been found inside the home, so he was considered a suspect from the start. Due to his career connections, the FBI was brought in to assist with the investigation. By the end of the day on March 10th, it was determined they had been murdered at the home, then transported to North Carolina. Zeroing in on Bishop, the investigators began looking into him, but there was no tie to North Carolina that could be found.
You know, there's very few pieces of evidence that are as damning as a bloody fingerprint, right? I mean, it's your fingerprint. It is. You were also there when these victims were bleeding. You know, it takes a lot of blood to leave a bloody fingerprint, right? So yeah, I mean, you're pretty much screwed when they have that type of evidence.
Police began to theorize that Bishop had arrived home, likely beating his wife Annette with the hammer first, then used that weapon on the rest of the family. Based on the location of the bloodstains and the amount of blood, it was likely the children had been killed while sleeping in their beds. He then murdered his mother Lobelia as she returned home from walking the dog. Likely, Bishop had loaded the 5 bodies into his 1974 Chevy station wagon, you know, the family truckster,
God.
along with the dog, and drove 300 miles away to the North Carolina forest where he dumped the bodies, passing undetected through a series of toll booths from Virginia to North Carolina. The drive would take about 5 hours. Using the tools he purchased, Bishop had then dug out this mass grave, then doused the victims with gasoline. His own family.
I just don't understand the motivation or how you could ever do something like this.
He then set his murdered family ablaze. Little did Bishop know he would spark the interest of a fire tower operator and inadvertently start a forest fire.
So here he is. He thinks he's out in the middle of nowhere, all by his lonesome, doing his devilish work, right? And next thing you know, the entire area is on fire. So could you imagine the panic that sets into this monster's mind at that point?
Nearly 2 weeks later, on March 18th, Bishop's car was discovered abandoned about 400 miles away from the dump site, near the Great Smoky Mountains Park by the Tennessee border at Elkmont Campground.
That's up the road from us.
I know. Inside the car, investigators found more blood stains, along with an axe and a shotgun. There were also dog biscuits, a bloody blanket, and a shaving kit, which included his medications. In the glove box were maps of the southern states. Dylan, the trunk was like a mess with dried blood. So much, in fact, that the spare tire had been filled with blood that had now dried. And it was just gore in the trunk of this car.
See, that's another thing about this, that the way he killed his family, the method, is just you're just blood. It sounds like a bludgeoning, right? Of all of them?
Yeah, with the hammer.
With the hammer,
With
yeah.
a mallet style hammer.
And you just keep on, and that's not going to be an easy thing to do.
To your own family.
Bludgeon your entire 5 people to death.
Your mother, your wife, and your 3 children.
So, won't you just leave the family and leave them there and let them figure out whatever for themselves? Yeah, it's going to suck, but it's better than being murdered. I mean, just who does this?
I don't know how anyone could do this to their own children.
And why haven't I heard 25 podcasts on this?
Well, there's some out there.
Because this is a horrific case.
Like I said, this is quite a famous story.
I've never come across it, and I'm surprised.
It's been covered by a lot of true crime podcasts, but it's just so wild, right? Outrageous that we had to talk about it.
That was a long so.
I know. The 2 weeks had given Bishop a good jump start to escape from the law. A witness had seen the car there around March the 5th, and people thought he had jumped on the Appalachian Trail, mingling with other hikers. Bloodhounds attempted to track his scent, but it brought in no new leads. The discovery led to a massive manhunt in the 500,000-acre park, with FBI, National Park Service, and the State Bureau of Investigations from both North Carolina and Tennessee questioning thousands of campers, hikers, and park visitors. One theory still believed by some today is that Brad wandered into the park and fell victim to one of the black bears.
Oh, wouldn't that be ironic?
At the time, the small Tyrrell County community had not had a murder in over 40 years. Obviously, the 5 bodies being discovered sent shockwaves through the area. As I mentioned before, it was a very small area known for farming and fishing. The God-fearing residents didn't know what to think, and investigators wondered how the murderer, especially Brad Bishop, who was unfamiliar with the area, had known about this spot, because it didn't seem like a place where someone could just stumble upon this, like if they were driving around trying to dump a body.
So it seems like a place that likely a local would go to or know about, but he's obviously not a local.
No.
Right. Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. The mystery thickens.
Bishop was then thought to have purchased tennis shoes after he removes his family's bodies from the car, sets it ablaze, whatever, drives off into the sunset. They think he stopped in Jacksonville, North Carolina on the same day that he buried and burned his family. He was spotted by a witness who said he was in the company of a dog and a dark-skinned woman.
Oh, really?
Purchasing tennis shoes. Brickhouse told reporters, now this is the ranger, he said, quote, "When you walk up expecting to see hogs and you find people, boy, your belly goes." Because initially he thought it was hogs in a pit.
Right, like some hunters had killed a mess of hogs. I'm going to assume in that area they're, have a feral pig problem, like all over the country, in a lot of the country.
Or perhaps someone had slaughtered their pigs and dumped them.
Yeah.
Maybe they were diseased or,
Right, you expect
kind of
some kind of animal something, and it's 5 bodies. Boom. So this guy sets it on fire, and it's like a shallow grave for 5. Very strange.
A bathtub-sized grave.
Very, very strange that he thought that was going to work or accomplish anything. He just sets it on fire in half the woods and just drives away like he'll never hear about that again. I mean, just what kind of thought process is that?
Let's discuss Brad Bishop. Who is this man? He was born on August 1st of 1936 in Pasadena, California, to Lobelia St. Germain and William Bradford Bishop. He was highly intelligent. As a teen, he met Annette Weiss. Brad was a confident, all-American boy, a high school football quarterback. After graduating from South Pasadena High School, he attended Yale University, where he studied history. He earned a bachelor's degree. Then he got a Master's of Arts degree in International Studies from Middlebury College in Vermont. He also earned a master's degree in African Studies from UCLA.
Damn.
So highly intelligent, very educated man. In 1959, he graduated from Yale, and that's when he married his high school sweetheart, Annette. He joined the U.S. Army and began working in counterintelligence. He spoke 5 languages frequently, Dylan: English, Italian, Serb, Croatian, French, and Spanish.
Damn.
Impressive, right?
I can hardly speak one.
I barely have a grasp of the Appalachian American language, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not even really English. It's Appalachian American.
Isn't it?
Appalachian.
Isn't it? That's just one word.
Yep. I heard, okay, so I saw this funny video, and it was like the redneck word of the day is mustard.
Okay.
And somebody's like, I heard you and your cousin broke up. And he said, you must have heard wrong.
Mustard.
Must heard wrong.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that.
I've heard that one before.
Yep.
Yep.
It was after leaving the Army that Bishop joined the U.S. State Department, working in foreign service. He was posted overseas in several roles. He was stationed first in Italy, then Ethiopia and Botswana, and lastly in Washington, D.C., beginning in 1974. He was 39 at the time of his disappearance. Now, it was considered a promotion to take the desk job in Washington, but others say he was not really happy about being at a desk, being a paper pusher.
He'd rather be part of like active intelligent operations and kind of out in the field, if you will.
Right.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wanted to be overseas.
He won't run around like he's Jack Ryan.
So in the time that he's working in foreign service, he and Annette have their 3 boys. By all outward appearances, Bishop was living a charmed life. His career seemed to be a success. He had a wonderful family. In Bethesda, Bishop's neighbors and relatives didn't see any marital problems. He and Annette, they were perfectly normal. Everyone described them as perfectly normal. Annette had been a high school cheerleader, and she was still very attractive and was educated at Cal Berkeley. The couple, everybody thought they were in love. They often played tennis together in a mixed doubles league. The Bishops often took camping and ski trips and invited neighborhood children, to join along on these wonderful vacations. And that was the thing, when they were missing for like a week, the neighbor thought they had perhaps gone on some like last minute spur of the moment like ski trip.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Because they were known to do things like that.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good solid middle to maybe upper middle class family. Successful parents. He's very intelligent. He's had all kinds of, been worked all over the world, right? Knows all these languages and stuff. Got the promotion to the desk job, which is going to be more money. So everything sounds like it's going great, right?
However, some friends thought Bishop's mother, Lobelia, was domineering. There was a speculation that Bishop was a spy, and a lot of gossip began circulating that he and his family were victims of some kind of intelligence-related murder, like in the movie 3 Days of Candor.
Oh.
An old movie. Investigators suspected the successful Bishop had become depressed when he was passed over for promotion. Yet, he had had no history of work-related issues. It seemed this Passover had been the first time in his professional life where he had received any kind of disappointment or rejection.
Oh, so the first time he's ever not succeeded or excelled.
Not moved up,
Right.
Not gotten the position that he wanted. Exactly. Some say Bishop wanted to continue on in another foreign position, unhappy with his desk job. Annette had been happy in Maryland raising their children, and she had even started studying art at the University of Maryland. The only reports of conflict in the marriage were that Bishop had wanted his wife to remain a stay-at-home mom when she decided to return to school. But it didn't seem like a significant problem, at least not one that would end in murder.
Well, no. I mean, are any of these things something that just made him snap? Did he have one of those personalities that maybe have psychopathic tendencies, but they're still just a normal, as far as the excelling and doing the best and all these different things, and very intelligent, you know, and just he snaps and goes over the top and kills everybody. I mean, it seems to me like that type of violence would always be showing itself, even in small doses. You know what I mean? Some kind of abuse, some kind of a way overbearing with his children, something. I mean, I just don't. It seems unlikely for just a normal guy, for all intents and purposes, to just snap and be capable of this type of violence. What do you think?
Not impossible.
It's not impossible.
Has been known to happen.
I feel like I'm gonna snap right now.
Snap into a Slim Jim, Dylan.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. He had skills and training from both the military and his diplomatic careers, which might have enabled him to escape and start a new life in another country. It was suggested he was a secret spy for the State Department or the CIA, which both agencies denied. At Bethesda dinner parties, Brad was known as very charming and liked to tell his friends the highlight of his spying career was infiltrating the Yugoslav army ski team when it went on maneuvers in Italy. Naturally, the rumors began that he may have been in deeper than he let on.
Okay. So they're saying a spy for the American government,
Yes.
to be clear. Okay.
CIA, State Department,
Right.
and, his appearance of, I just sit at a desk or whatever, that was just a facade, Dylan.
That's what they do.
It was one of those old facades.
It's a facade.
It was more likely that he could flee because he had access to fake identities and passports. In 1976, creating a new identity, of course, was much easier than it would be today with the internet, especially post 9/11. Now they have our information. It's easy to track people.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think used to about all you had to get past was like the lamination or something, and kind of literally cut a picture out and kind of glue it in there and laminate it back.
Yeah, back in the day, really, you just needed like somebody's birth certificate.
Yeah.
You didn't even need that.
Well, we've heard those stories of people living, living as someone who's died, typically very young, and then they just take over their identity and live right out in the open with it. It wasn't hard at all. But you're not going to get, I think it'd be much trickier to do nowadays.
Definitely.
But people still do it.
I need to know how.
I might not even be who I say I am. Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything cruel to you.
Wow. See, this is great,
So
man. This is really like easygoing.
So this is all an act?
Yeah.
You just pretend to be this person?
Right. That's what?
It's a little frustrating, but I love you.
You can't use your words that you want to say,
You're
can you?
special
Right.
to me.
And that is.
And even this character that you've been playing all
Right.
this time is very special to me, Dylan.
Wow. That's. Is that all you want to say?
Yes.
It's beautiful. This is great.
Then Bishop vanished. Like D.B. Cooper, the hijacker who disappeared in 1971 after parachuting from a Boeing 727 somewhere between Seattle and Reno with $200,000 in 20 bills extorted from Northwest Airlines, Bishop has achieved legendary status.
Just boom, gone into thin air.
Fucking parks his car at Elkmont and then that bitch be gone.
Now, I mean, even if he's not a full-on super spy, having been in the intelligence business all over the world for years, could up the likelihood of him having access to someone who could easily make new identification in all your papers and create basically a new, completely new identity, right? So that's a rather interesting part of this.
Bishop was said to be an avid outdoorsman who enjoyed camping and hiking. He had earned a pilot's license while he lived in Africa. He also liked riding motorcycles and was known to be athletic, worked out weekly. It has been reported that Bishop had a history of depression and insomnia and had been prescribed Cyrax in the time leading up to the murders. However, he may have stopped taking the medication in the days leading up to the killings. He had a back surgery, and from that, there was a 6-inch vertical scar on his lower back. He had a cleft chin and a mole on his left cheek. I don't know which cheek that is.
His left.
I'm assuming it's a face cheek.
Well, his left ass cheek is what
I
you
don't
mean?
know.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just said his left cheek, and I was like,
I'm going to assume it's
how
his
am I
face.
supposed to know what the mole looks like on his left cheek? Anyway, police thought he had his father's 38 special on him, possibly when he left. Bishop was wearing his Yale class ring because it was missing from the family's items, and he was kind of known to always wear that Yale class ring. Also, his diplomatic passport was gone from the house.
Well, there you go.
Most reports agree that there were some financial issues, some worse than others. It's hard to know precisely where the Bishop family's finances were.
Right.
The Washington Post reported the problems were mild and what most upper middle class families experienced from time to time. FBI criminal profiler Johnny Douglas described them as nothing terribly unusual for people in their 30s living in that kind of neighborhood.
So they're saying just the usual amount of debt and things associated to having a house and cars and all that stuff.
And kids.
Kids. Things come up.
Right.
Right. Or you just blow money impulsively like we do.
Maybe you need a hot water heater here and there, that kind of thing. New roof.
Sounds really responsible.
It does. I'm glad we rent. Other reports stated that Annette had tried to get a job at a nursery school on the day she had died because of their financial problems. According to others, his mother tried to sell her fur coat to help pay for the mortgage payment that month.
So that sounds like some fairly dire straits.
Well, like I said, there's kind of these conflicting reports. Like, we don't have a firm grasp of what their financial life was actually like, their financial situation.
Well,
because some are like, it was just nothing unusual. It's what most families experience. But then other reports were like, oh, it was dire. It was just dire.
Well, I mean, that is quite different, when you're selling personal belongings to make the mortgage or rent that month, you're in pretty bad shape, right?
But I'm sure he's making bank.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Of course, if he's still fully public in the public sector, government job, I mean, so you hear about some of those just aren't as lucrative as you might think they are sometimes. You know what I mean? And then people flip over to the private sector and make 2 or 3 times that amount.
Lobelia had given her son $30,000 as a down payment on the house and moved in after her husband had died. She and Annette were close, but others say the relationship between mother and son were strained. Some suggested Brad had begun seeing a psychiatrist twice a week because of the issues he was having with his mother.
Well, see, that seems to keep coming up, that they felt like either he had a strained relationship with his mother. Some people viewed her as domineering, which is a rather strong word to describe someone. So it sounds like there could be some kind of a odd relationship between son and mother. And now she's moved in and you see her every single day. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to live with your mom every day.
God, kill me. Kill me now. I don't want to live with that woman overnight. I don't want to stay in a hotel room with her overnight. Like, I don't want to live with her.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I shouldn't even say that. That's going to bring down the mood. Okay. So, but still, we're not getting any true answers, any concrete answers to motive or what happened or where he might go or any of that. And I'm going to guess a guy who speaks 5 languages, has done held all these different positions. He probably does make pretty good money, even still being in government work. You know what I mean?
Well, and you have to think this is 1974.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, 70. Was it 70? See, I'm already confused. Anyway, this is the 70s, bro. And his mom.
That's 10 years. Surely you got it.
Yeah. And his mother had given him $30,000 as a down payment on a home in
That's
the 70s.
a chunk of change,
I was
bro.
going to say in the 70s that would buy like 2 homes.
Yeah. So this is probably a pretty nice house.
Right? And so
Right.
I'm imagining with that kind of down payment, even in kind of a swanky neighborhood, their mortgage couldn't have been like, I mean, I doubt they were living in $1 million home. It was
Oh,
described
so what
as
you're-
like upper middle class. So I'm just thinking like,
Yeah, but back then, 100, I don't know if the numbers are right, but $100,000 house is a pretty damn nice house, right? I mean,
but I'm
that's-
just saying with that kind of down payment, I just can't imagine they were like swimming in mortgage debt, and
right.
they had a Volkswagen and a station wagon. They weren't driving like luxury vehicles.
No, and the only way they end up there, even if no matter what amount of money you have, is living way beyond your means, or some kind of an addiction, gambling, drugs, something like that. Something sucking the money out faster than it's coming in.
A sex addiction.
And sex, Addicted to Mountain Murders podcast, has affected a few people. And if you need help, just reach out to us at mountainmurderspodcast.com. Wait, mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com, right?
That's right, Angel Face.
And we have a hotline set up for you. But anyway, we'll get your life back on track. But, yeah. But, there's no one saying, hey, I think he was using drugs, whatever. There's not like video poker, so unless you're going, well, you can always be doing black market poker or black market gambling anywhere you live, I guess. Okay.
In like a seedy basement.
Well, yeah, with a bunch of Asian men smoking cigarettes.
You've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, haven't you?
No, I've been watching Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, okay. It has been stated by several news sources that the family was experiencing an IRS audit, but there have been conflicting reports about this, again, like the whole finance thing, and there are other folks stating that there's actually no evidence that the IRS didn't have any kind of audit going on.
Okay, why is there conflicting reports every move in this story? It's a disinformation campaign by some source,
Could be.
some shadowy source. Oh no, everything was fine. Well, it was rumored they had a Labrador. Oh no, Lord, they had a poodle. That's a conflicting report.
There was no information like that the investigators could find about an extramarital affair or any kind of CIA plot. Of course, I'm sure that if there was a CIA plot, the sheriff's department's not going to uncover that. But we did also have the FBI working the case. I digress.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what plot would leave him alive, his whole family dead. The family moved 300 miles and dumped in a rather clumsy way. His car being found, obviously used to move the... I mean, come on. It's not a very professional plot.
Or hit.
Yeah.
Over the years, many stories and tips poured in about the whereabouts of Brad Bishop. The case was covered on television and news reports for years. People were fascinated with Bishop's disappearance. Unsolved Mysteries, 2020, and America's Most Wanted had segments covering the man. Sightings of Bishop have been reported in Europe, specifically Belgium, Sweden, Italy, Spain, Germany, Greece, the Netherlands, Finland, Russia, and Switzerland. Also, he's been seen in Africa.
Man. Well, imagine this guy. He can go all over the place and kind of blend in.
On the African continent in
Act-
various locations.
Yeah, he can act like he's a tourist from these
Secret
other countries.
Agent man.
Like he's from Serbia or Croatia or Italy or America, Canada.
Well, let's get into some of these reported sightings, Dylan. A colleague named Donald Baker, who worked with Bishop in Ethiopia, reported that he had seen the man twice in Sweden during the summer of 1978. The FBI sent an agent to follow up on the report, but they were unable to find any concrete evidence that Bishop had been there. A year later, another employee of the Agency for International Development, who had worked alongside Bishop at the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia in 1966, and again at the State Department up until 1976. They'd been in the same desk job area, probably had offices near each other, had seen Bishop in Sorrento, Italy. When confronted, the man who looked like Bishop claimed that wasn't his name and ran away from the restroom where he was confronted by this guy who was like, "Hey, Brad,
Yeah.
my name's not Brad." And he just like takes off
He
running.
runs away.
Yeah. I imagine he's got his hands like waving in the air as he's running. It's not me.
Yeah, who's Brad? That's very normal behavior.
My name is Chef Boyardee.
And it's funny, it's not just like cold tips, it's colleagues.
People who knew him.
People who work closely
worked
with
with
him.
him.
So you're not going to think, oh, that might look like that thing I saw on America's Most Wanted or 2020 or whatever. You're going to be like, hey, that's so-and-so. I know, you know their mannerisms, how they walk, you know, how they talk, laugh, all that stuff. So that's rather interesting.
So in the end, 3 people who had known Bishop personally had reported seeing him, but every time the follow-ups led to dead ends. In 1992, a strange development came when investigators were reviewing this cold case. A letter was sent 2 weeks after the killings to the U.S. State Department via registered mail. The letter was from a man named A. Ken Bankston, who was a federal inmate in Illinois. The contents of the letter suggested that Bankston may have been involved in helping Bishop locate a hitman to take out the man's family in exchange for a passport that Bishop would provide as payment.
Okay.
The letter named 2 other convicts and also referenced a woman in North Carolina who was familiar with the area where the bodies were found. Although the letter didn't help locate the wanted men, it did paint a picture of an unhappy man who had been planning to murder his family for some time.
Okay.
He may have also been planning to meet up with a female in North Carolina who would help him escape from that very rural area. And again, remember, witnesses did say they saw him with a woman. When he stopped in Jacksonville, he had a dog, and he had a dark-skinned woman with him.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So, man, he planned that for quite some time, and that's what he came up with?
This is what the letter states.
No, what I'm saying, though, it doesn't seem like, it just wasn't a very good plan.
Well, okay, let's be honest. He's a nerd, right? He's got all these degrees. He speaks all these languages. He's book smart, Dylan, but that does not equate to common sense. And it does not make you a master criminal, right?
It's true. Well, and you get into that if you've never killed before, which I don't know how you could kill your entire family and mother one after the other and keep going, but I don't know. I guess you're not thinking clearly, or
Perhaps his judgment was a bit clouded, Dylan.
he knew that he wasn't going to get away with it. It wasn't going to be a crime he could try to play off. So, I mean, I don't know if he figured that out during committing the murders or if that's just the way he always thought it was going to go down. I'll kill them. Why kill them all and leave? See, that's what messes me up. Why kill them all and disappear? Unless, okay. It could have been done by some kind of team or black ops shit. And they made it look like this bungling murder. Huh? Yeah?
But he was seen at Sears, at the gas station.
Was it him? Or was that Tom Cruise in one of those really lifelike masks from Mission Impossible, dude? See? Didn't think about that, did you? He's asking everybody if they were into Scientology at the gas station.
Jeez.
And laughing maniacally.
Well, this letter writer, Bankston, the inmate, he died in 1983. So by the time investigators found this letter, which had kind of just been shoved away, in 1992, I mean, this guy was long gone. 15 years had passed between then and the time the letter was found. Some wonder if the letter would have helped apprehend Bishop had it been found sooner, after the murders. In the weeks following the murders, sheriff's deputies staked out the home, thinking maybe Bishop would return to the crime scene, but he never did. The police had followed up leads all around the country, including traveling to Minnesota and Texas. In 2014, the body of a man resembling Bishop was exhumed in Alabama. The man had been killed by a car while walking on the highway back in 1981. But DNA concluded the man was not Bishop. Fingerprints have also been used to debunk reports that Bishop died in France and in Hong Kong. Some theorize that Bishop has been living in the United States under the radar this whole time. A forensic artist, Karen Taylor with the FBI, created an age-progressed bust of Bishop and what he would look like in his 70s. And if he were alive today, Dylan, he would be 86. So, I mean, there is a good chance he could still be out there.
Oh, wow. That's crazy to think about.
I got another strange twist to the story.
Okay.
As if it's not
yeah, it's been straightforward and normal so far.
peculiar enough, right? In 2021, a woman named Kathy Gilchrist used DNA to discover her biological parents. She had been adopted and grew up in Massachusetts. Tracking down her ancestry, Gilchrist was incredibly surprised to learn her biological father was a man named William Bradford Bishop Jr.
Uh-oh.
There's little known about Bishop's life at the time she was conceived, other than he was likely a student at Yale. No one really knew about the relationship with Kathy's mother, or if Bishop even knew he had a daughter. She was significantly older than his sons, obviously. Kathy was asking if anyone had information about the Bishop's life, or about Bishop's life between 1957 and 1960, because she was trying to piece together, like, how did he know her biological mom? Had they been in some kind of relationship? Did he know about her?
Well, she should be glad she wasn't with him. She'd be dead, right?
Well, it seems Bishop may have had a secret life, a life that was not known to many.
Ah, maybe that's just how he rolled. Lots of secrets. Just run around, got like 5 or 6 families. Seems like a lot to me, but I guess some people do it.
Can you imagine finding out your biological father is this infamous murderer who vanished?
No, I don't know. I wonder if you would be, well, for us true crime fans, maybe we would find it fascinating in a way, in some strange way. But I don't know if I would say it would be scary. What do you think? If you are who you are now and found this out.
I would think it could be a little scary because, especially if you are doing interviews and letting the public know, what if this person just showed up on your doorstep one day?
Well, there's that. And then you might have the thought, am I going to ever like snap and do this too? Because that person, their blood runs through my veins, if you will. Yeah? You like that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is very strange. Just call me dumb or tell me my face is big or something.
You were so cute.
Oh, bless my heart, right?
I love you.
Oh, I love you too,
You've been
baby.
so awesome today.
Wow. Okay.
You're awesome every day,
Every day.
especially when we're recording the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Calm down.
In the late 70s, a Charlottesville bluegrass band, Coup de Grace, wrote The Ballad of Bradford Bishop,
Ah, nice. A murder ballad.
a murder ballad. I've got a couple lyrics here for you.
Lay it on me.
Bradford Bishop tired of taking their gruff. Bradford Bishop got a poker and showed them his stuff. For 9 years past 30, he was a most desperate man, killed his whole family, took off and ran.
Okay. Ah, was that the damn murder weapon? A fire poker?
Well, it was the hammer, most likely.
Ah.
I mean, it
the
could
hammer
have been a fire poker, but
Well, no, I'd say it was the hammer he bought
yeah,
with the gas.
he thought he was Thor. Whatever. To those who knew the family, the case remains baffling even after all these years. Jacques d'Amboise, a celebrated ballet dancer and protege of New York City's ballet's George Balanchine, is among them.
Oh, yes. I'm very familiar with their work.
I know you don't know anything.
I am.
He writes in his 2011 memoir called I Was a Dancer that he got to know Bishop as a teenager. Bishop's parents, Bradford Sr., a geologist, and Lobelia, who'd once dreamed of being a singer and actress, were living in Pasadena, California, and they were both big ballet fans And they took D'Ambois in to live with them for a while when he was 17, and Brad, their only child, was 14.
So he was living in their household, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess he did get to know him.
So, of course, he's been like blown away by the case, and for years has, been trying to figure out like what happened, and has been fascinated with where could Brad be.
It's kind of like finding Waldo, finding Brad the murdering shitbird.
And though we don't know for sure what drove William Bradford Bishop Jr. to slay his family, we do know that many family annihilators are triggered by loss of control, things like financial crisis and marital strife. Like John List, the famous case where, he killed his family, it was because of financial problems. Statistics show that most children who are murdered are done so at the hands of their parents instead of strangers. And in this case, we have no opportunity to find out why these murders took place. Those left behind can only speculate on what may have caused someone to kill the family they loved. And most heartbreaking, taking the lives of their own children.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a foreign thought. I just don't know how you could even have that thought and entertain it.
In studying familicide cases, the majority of perpetrators are males between their 30s and 40s. In about 68% of case studies, the men typically end their lives after killing the family. In most cases, these men are those who come from good backgrounds and are employed. They can be successful people, as we've seen with Brad Bishop, and most people couldn't imagine them committing such horrible acts.
Wow. That's a pretty good profile there, right?
It's pretty frightening.
Yeah, it's very. I was going to ask something. I just can't. I don't understand why you would do that. Like I always say, kill yourself first, either. And this is if you intend to murder your family. Forgive me for, saying it like that. But start with yourself. If you intend on killing all your kids and your wife and your mom and grandmother, whoever else is in the house, you should start with yourself. Make sure it works.
I think he definitely had help. Maybe not, obviously, like committing the murders, but he definitely had help, I believe, once he got to North Carolina. Someone, because of the location of the bodies,
right?
Someone had to give him a map or let him know of this area.
Or go there with him.
Go take him there, exactly. Go with him. And then to end up in Elkmont, 400 miles away, by the Appalachian Trail in the Great Smokies. I mean, it just makes for such a question. Like, where did he go?
You're driving this bloody car for 400 miles and dumping it. I mean, it's very, very odd. Okay.
And did he run away with this woman?
Maybe he's
Was
hanging
he
out.
Involved with this woman romantically? Like, how did he know her? I have so many questions. I'm sure lots of people do.
Maybe he's hanging out with D.B. Cooper.
Maybe.
We're never going to know what happened to D.B. Cooper. We're never going to know what happened to Mr. Brad.
We may one day. With DNA, you never know.
Yeah, I guess there's an outside possibility somehow that would come up some way. Yeah, there's a possibility.
Well, if he moved on, fathered other children, they start looking into their 23andMe or whatevs ancestry.
Yeah, and then,
Could figure out his location. I mean, you never know.
It's true.
Anything's possible.
It is. Well, thank you. That was Draped in Mystery.
But we do know one thing about Brad. He's on a highway to hell.
He is on the highway to hell. If he's not already there, I hope he's going there. Right?
Yes.
If he did these murders. And it's not some kind of CIA cover-up plot. You know what I mean?
Is that your conspiracy theorist mind?
Well, I mean, anytime someone's who's in intelligence, I don't know. Obviously, the goal would be to ruin his reputation, and there's not killing your entire family and never being around to explain that you didn't do it or what's happened would certainly be a way to discredit someone or keep them on the run to where they could never turn to anyone for help, and no one's going. They can't tell what they know or whatever.
They did find his bloody fingerprints at the scene, Dylan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're tricky. They're tricky. The ghost operatives. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like the gray man.
they can. Yes, just like the gray man, they can fake bloody fingerprints
Can they?
very easily.
They can.
They can.
Who are they?
They are the same ones who tried like 67 times to kill Fidel Castro. We should do maybe a batshit crazy episode about that. The cockamamie scenarios and ideas they came up with for that. Have you ever heard of some of them?
No.
Like there's like a necktie with a carbon fiber and like this ratcheting mechanism on it to where if you put it on, it would, draw tight and like basically cut through his throat. And it was just all kinds of goofy shit.
No, I think I have heard about the necktie.
Well, yeah, Colombian or it was a Cuban necktie. I think that might be where the saying comes from. Poison cigars.
Yeah. No, I did know about the poison
Yeah,
cigars.
women
Okay,
getting.
Maybe I have heard this.
Yeah, so and it gets worse. It gets more outlandish. So that's who I'm talking about when I say they.
They.
Okay.
How do you get recruited to work for they?
Well, I think you just come up through the ranks like normal. Maybe have a military background, end up in intelligence work, maybe an analyst.
Like Jason Bourne.
Yeah, and the analysts can actually continue to rise, and the better they are at analyzing
Damn
things.
it, you know what? I had an opportunity to join the Army instead of the Navy and be a linguist and be in the intelligence community.
Okay.
And I joined the Navy instead because I just felt like, I didn't necessarily want to go to the Middle East because we were in the midst of a conflict.
And as far as you knew,
And in Afghanistan, I was like, man, I don't know about all that.
right, as far as you
But
knew,
see, I could be Jason Bourne right now.
the Taliban didn't have a navy, so you took the smart pick, I think, right?
Well, it was the difference in do I want to sleep on a ship or do I want to sleep under a Humvee in like a cold place and maybe have to not shower for weeks and poop in a hole in the ground. And,
Wow, you put a lot of thought in this.
yeah, I'm just not cut out for that. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me, bro.
Okay, well,
I complain when I sleep on an air mattress.
is that all you have there?
That is the case.
You don't have any more?
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
No one knows, Dylan.
No one knows. No one
I'm
has
sorry.
a
Next time, I apologize. I will bring you like a 2.5, 3 hour
clue. No,
episode. Is that
it
is that
was
what
fine.
you require?
It was fine. I think I'm a bit off my game just because you're being nice to me. So I'm done with that. We did that for an episode, but I think I thrive off of the pressure and just
You're a podcasting cherub, Dylan.
Oh, you gonna hug it?
Your little cheeks over there. You just look like a little cherub.
Okay, so if you enjoyed that, and thanks again to our sponsor, Leah and Dreama. Thank you very much. And if you enjoyed that, you can catch us on Batshit Crazy, where we talk about everything weird and strange, right? Heather's had come up with some really good episodes on that. And what else, Heather?
You're lovely.
Oh, and well, let me put a call out.
You're lovely.
We love listener stories episodes. So if you have any of those, if you've listened to an episode of listener stories recently and it's like, oh, wow, I got this great story, feel free to send us those at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com.
We love your listener stories, and I'm trying to collect more of those. We love the listener story episodes. Definitely hit us up, especially because spooky season is just around the corner.
That's what I was thinking. It'd be great to drop one maybe the week before Halloween or the week after. So that'd be awesome.
Great if we got enough. We could do a listener spooky ass, scare you, give you chills fucking episode every week.
Oh.
In October.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Like some bonus listener stories episodes.
Gosh.
Let's go.
And your little dog too, Dylan.
We're going to need some help.
We do need some help.
So, anyone out there, help us out with that. And, that's it. I think that's all we got. just had a really great, fun midweek. If you haven't already listened to that, check it out. And we will see you again next midweek.
Yeah, just in a couple of days. Make sure you look for that. And as Dylan mentioned, Batshit Crazy, you can find that on all platforms. And if you are a patron, not only do you get Mountain Murders, but you get Batshit Crazy. And the episodes are ad-free.
Oh, you know what that means.
And those bonus, exclusive Patreon-only episodes.
We're going to have to make Patreon-only episodes of Batshit Crazy. Wow.
Whoa.
Let's go.
Dang.
Okay.
Okay, Dylan, you stay rosy, you little cherub.
And you stay sweet.
No.